Hi, everybody. We are going to start reading chapter 14 in Warriors Don't Cry, page 157. So please open your books to 157, and here we go. The first school days of the new year were frightening because without Minnie Jean, we realized any one or all of us could be next. Posters and cards reading "One and we're down and 8 to go" were everywhere. Segregationists left no doubt that they were seizing Minnie Jean's suspension as an opportunity to fire up their campaign. Once we got back into our daily routine, it was evident that segregationists must have spent their holidays thinking up ways to make us miserable. I could feel their electrifying hope of victory all around me. They walked differently, talked differently, and didn't hesitate to shower us with angry words and deeds, letting us know we were short-timers. I had by then withdrawn them from French class because I wasn't able to concentrate with the combined pressure of the extremely hostile students and coping with everything else. I was also concerned that I couldn't do my best in my English shorthand and typing page 158 classes, all of which would have been a breeze under any other circumstances. Even before lunch on our first day back, we had all begun to experience a hell we could not have imagined. The rumor was that the White Citizens Council would pay reward money to the person who could incite us to misbehave and get ourselves expelled. It was apparent that many students were going for that reward. On Monday, January 6th, Minnie Jean and her parents met with Superintendent Blossom. She was allowed to return to school Monday, January 13th, with the proviso that she not respond to her attackers in any way. A short time after Minnie Jean's return, a boy doused her with what appeared to be a bucket of soup. She froze in her tracks and did not respond. Even as the greasy liquid trickled down her chest and horror painted her face. Afterward, a group of perhaps 50 students gathered outside the principal's office to shout cheers for the douser, saying he had paid her back. He was suspended, but we were frightened that he had set in motion an all-out soup war that could lead to the drenching of each of us and guarantee a real brawl if we tried to fight back. The segregationists were becoming even more vocal, urging the students to harass us at every opportunity. The Central High Mothers League announced a nighttime rally with the Reverend Wesley Pruden, president of the Citizens Council, speaking on what race mixers are planning for us. They issued a special invitation to Central High students. We heard that almost 200 hardcore segregationist students protested our presence by being absent from school on the day of that rally. Page 159. The segregationists organized a systemic process for phoning our homes at all hours of the night to harass us. They also phoned our parents at their places of work and any other relatives or friends they could annoy. One day, Terrence's mother rushed into the principal's office, having been called and told her son was seriously injured, only to find the call had been a hoax. Repeated bomb threats were telephoned to our homes. We had real evidence that school officials weren't certain of their ability to protect us when, on the day of a pep rally, Mrs. Huckabee suggested that Thelma, Minnie Jean, Elizabeth, and I sit in her office rather than be exposed to the hostility and physical abuse that certainly awaited us. We were having more frequent meetings with Mrs. Bates and the other NAACP officials about our problems. Despite our conversations and all the public declarations that school officials could protect us, the truth was things were getting worse by the moment. As determined as everyone else was to have me remain at Central, with each passing day, I began to doubt that I was strong enough to tough it out. Even as I watched the others weaken, I could feel myself growing weary and nervous. When I had a long period of time alone on a Saturday, I leafed through the pages of my diary. I had not been fully aware of how deeply the turmoil at school was affecting me. I was stunned to see what I had written. I wish I were dead. That was the entry for several days running, in late January. God, please let me be dead until the end of the year. I was willing to bargain and plead with God. I revised my request. I just wanted to become invisible for a month or two. I, page 160, clutched the diary to my chest and wept for a long time. No, I whispered aloud. I do wish I were dead. Then all the pain and hurt would be over. I fell to my knees and prayed about it. That's when I knew I should go and talk to Grandma India. I told her about my wish to be dead. Good idea, she said. She didn't even look up at me as though she were alarmed after I whimpered out my confession. Instead, she continued dusting the dining room table. My feelings were hurt, and then she looked me in the eye and said it again. Good idea. How did you plan going about it? Ma'am? I wasn't certain I'd heard her. I said I wish I were dead. Did you hear me? And I said, good idea. Her voice was louder as she peered at me with a mischievous expression. The sooner you get started, the sooner you'll make the segregationists real happy. They'll love broadcasting the headlines across the world. She braced the palm of one hand on the table to balance herself as she paused for a long moment to think. I've got it. The headlines will read, Little Rock heroine gives in to segregationists, kills herself. What do you mean? I gasped. I felt really angry that she talked as though she didn't care. She kept on creating new headlines about my death. Or maybe they could write, Melba Patillo died by her own hand because she was afraid of facing God's assignment for her. Oh, no, ma'am. I slumped down into a chair. She wouldn't let up. Then, of course, there would be the celebration all the segregationists would plan. Let's see now. I'll bet they would rent the Robinson Auditorium for their party. It would be kind of like the wrestling matches, loud with all the cheering, singing, and dancing. She looked back down at the scratches on the table and continued dusting. So you do as you please, but I'd also think about that moment at which you'd have to face the Lord and explain your decision to Him. She ignored me, humming her hymn, I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. I stood there for a moment, watching her.